Hello everyone and welcome to the program Midday Discourse on Global Television. My name is Samuel Odi and many thanks for joining us or joining me on today's edition. Happy World Population Day to everybody in the world. Today is July the 11th and it's recorded worldwide that today is World Population Day, which had actually started marked and benchmarked since the early 1980s, and then it's been observed on a yearly basis. July 11, 2024, today is World Population Day. And the theme for for this year's celebration is Leave No One Behind, Count Everyone. Yes, and then in that note, we would be counting everyone. We'll be hoping that the country counts. So we'll just bring you up to speed to the origin of and then the trace of when World Population Day began. This day traced its origin to the day of the 5 billion, July 11th, 1987, when the global population reached approximately 5 billion. Objects to raise awareness about global population issues and their impact on sustainable development. The last time Nigeria, now bringing it back home, the last time Nigeria had a national census was in 2006, and the census was conducted by the National Population Commission and estimated Nigerian population to be approximately 140 million Nigerians at the time. There have been an effort to conduct another census since then, but they have been delayed due to various reasons, including funding constraints, political consideration, and society and security concerns. In 2018, the NPC announced plans to conduct a national census in 2020, but it was postponed due to COVID-19 pandemic. As of 2024, there are ongoing efforts to conduct a digital census, but a specific date has not been announced yet. Nigerians' population is estimated to have grown significantly since the last census, with estimates suggesting it may have been over 200 million Nigerians, making it one of the most populous countries in Africa. On today's edition, I make you welcome to Midday Discourse, as we'll be extreme and having conversation addressing population growth and challenges, and also looking forward to the opportunities that a great population holds for a country. Before we get deep into the conversation, I will be going on a quick break, and when I come back, I will be introducing my guests in whom I would be having this conversation with on how we're going to address the challenges and as well embrace the opportunities that a large and emerging population like that of Nigeria would hold to its or to her economy. Do stay with us, or we'll be right back.
For an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions, Big Talk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights, from thought-provoking discussions to actionable insight.
What is the real responsibility of government?
Big Talk delves deep into the heart of the matter. Join us weekdays on global televisions from 6:30 p.m. for a reverting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society.
With every government and introduction of new policies, businesses of all kinds and sizes seize the opportunity to evolve and redefine themselves. Business Point on global television is where we follow the money and put the facts and figures right in front of you. Watch Business Point every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. as Kikelamo Okeri tracks all the latest developments across critical sectors. Business Point, this is business.
Are you ready to be entertained like never before? Get ready to dive into the latest and greatest entertainment news in lifestyle, music, movies, birthday celebration, and so much more. All on Entertainment Circle on Global Television. From the hottest red carpet event to exclusive interviews with your favorite stars, we've got you covered. Stay up to date with the latest trends and news from the entertainment world, all in one place. Tune in every Saturday by 1 p.m. with Chung and Emil Joseph on Global Television.
In an ever-busy world, the increasing challenge of keeping track of health matters can be extremely demanding. Follow the latest health tips and trends on Health Guide on Global Television on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Health Guide on Global Television. Put your health first. Get ready for it. Inside Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Jumaine Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and a repeat every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out.
Are you a food lover? Do you care about your health and nutrition? Are you interested in exploring the diverse culinary traditions from around the world? Then look no further. Introducing Lunch Global on Global Television, a show that takes you on a delicious journey through the world of food, nutrition, and diet. So, whether you're a seasoned foodie, a health enthusiast, or simply curious about the world of food, Lunch Global has something for everyone. Tune in Mondays to Fridays and let your taste bud take you on a journey of flavor, culture, and discovery on Lunch Global. Bon appetit!
Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here.
It's time for sports' biggest moments on Global Television. The headlines, scores, breaking news, and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses, and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns, and victories. Talk sports with the king of sports, Anthony Momadou. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
Hello, children. Gather around, let me tell you a story. Do you know that stories have a way of captivating the minds of children, bringing fun and imagination to teach them morals? Join Sharon Ajay as she takes you to explore the thrilling and exciting world of storytelling.
I'll be sharing with you our next interesting story.
Tune in every Saturday on Global Television, time 5:30 p.m.
Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momadou on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are definitely.
Can we not say that again?
Because
that this country gets it right?
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
Many thanks for joining us from that quick break. And I have my guests here with me in the studio, Mr. Uyi Agbomo-Fregbe. Thank you so much for joining us on today's edition.
Thank you for having me, Sam.
Yes, sir. So, okay, it's World Population Day, and the UN Secretary has said the main focus for this year is not to leave anyone behind, count, and then also making sure that they can access data. So, looking at, let's come back home now, let's leave UN. It's been since 2016, that has been the last time we had census. Now, how key is it for Nigeria to, focus and then pay more attention on getting the actual data and not just giving us approximate figures of the numbers of citizens we have in the country?
Okay, again, thank you, Sam, for the privilege to be on the program. It's worthy to establish that it was actually in 2006 that we had the last census, right? And we have made efforts to have census from that time on. It will appear apparently those efforts didn't pay off. Last one being last year, just before, at the twilight of former President Muhammadu Buhari's last, which is second term in office. Budget had been made, plans were already ongoing, as they say. The plans are already hit top gear, but then it was only appropriate to move the census forward. Now we understand that it's been rescheduled for November this year. But let's talk about census and Nigeria, for example. If you do the math, it's been 18 years since we had the last census. So the question off the top of most people's head right now is, why haven't we had another census the entire time? Amongst other things, that failure, because that's what it is, categorically, it's a failure, speaks to how that we don't attach importance to census, to numbers, to figures, to data and statistics. You see, 24 years into a new millennium, every right-thinking society, country, organization, family, and individual understands that data is like blood to the body. So you can't even plan, let alone execute or grow and develop without data. So it just shows it's not very important to us. And that's the reason even INEC, this is not something one should be excited and proud about to say, can't put a finger on exactly how many registered, eligible, alive voters we have today. So that's a challenge. So what do you hear from INEC, for example, CVR, continuous voter registration? How many persons do we have today with their PVCs, still with INEC, across the 774 local government areas of this country who haven't picked them up? How many persons are registered, for example, since INEC started talking about continuous voter registration in light of those states off-grid election, on those states off-grid election? Nobody's talking to us about those issues. And you say, okay, well, leave INEC. INEC is not even statutorily a data collecting agency. So let's turn our attention to where it bites, which is the NIMC, National Identity Management Commission. The question is, what are they also doing about that? Incidentally, I spoke with one of their state heads sometime in 2020, who is now out of service, by the way, has retired. And there were things he couldn't say on live television for apparent reasons. But he shared some of those things with me off the records. And these are not things that you go to bed with and you wake up excited and inspired because of the systemic failure in all of these things. At a point, the leadership of the NIMC had even told Nigerians that, look, we can't do more than 1 million in a year. In other words, you cannot register more than 1 million Nigerians in terms of national identity in 1 year, which means if you do the math, as of today, by some statistics, we have 260 million Nigerians. So if you do the math, it means it will take us close to 3 decades to be able to register Nigerians if you go by that trajectory. But we understand with the new some innovation we're seeing now in the Ministry of Innovation and Digital Economy under the leadership of the Minister, Dr. Dr. Bosun Tijani. A lot has been happening, and it's happening now because NIMC is actually under that ministry. But you see, it also shows to you that it's not a problem that started yesterday morning. It's been here long. How many Nigerian agencies are having the conversation along the line of this year's theme for the World Population Day? How many of us are looking at the importance of not just counting people, but understanding that people are not just numbers. You see, that again is another layer to the conversation. It's not just enough to say we have 220 million Nigerians. What does it mean? How many undergraduates do you have? How many persons are churned out of our universities every year, whether it's polytechnic or university or college of education, or some of those tertiary institutions in the middle? How many unemployed graduates do you have in this country? How many unemployable graduates do you have? Every other time you hear the US talking about college-educated whites, they give you the figure. Black, college educated, society of color, talking about the blacks, the Hispanics, and so on and so forth, Asians, they give you the figure. But it's more like rocket science for us to do that here. But I understand, data itself is science, right? But you see, we have some of the smartest people in Nigeria from Nigeria. The question is, how much are we leveraging the capacity and competence they bring so that we can drive the narrative around data in terms of how it impacts development and growth?
Looking at impact, development, and growth now, it's no news that China and India are the highest populated nations in the world. And fairly, both nations are growing. So Nigeria now, which is estimated to have 200 million citizens, how key is Nigeria to leverage on the population it's estimated to have to help leverage and then boost its economy?
You see, it's a long drawn-out conversation, Sam. First, you have to look at what's the population of Nigeria today? And then you're asking yourself again, to what extent can we trust that data itself, even though we hear for the most part it's coming from the NBS.
NBS, yes.
Right. And then now we're talking about India. We're talking about China, the two largest populations in the world. And they were asking, what exactly have they done differently? Because earlier today, I heard a colleague say that we are overpopulated. By all standards, I mean, given the metrics that we have in front of us, we are not overpopulated. We're just having a blessing in disguise that we're not using. Now, if you say we're overpopulated, what then do you say about India and China and other countries within that range? I mean, the 5 most populated. Now, having said that, the question is, what has India done differently? What has China done differently? Now, these two countries have certain things, certain attributes in common where it has to do with population and how you can make the most of it, maximize it for your own good. For example, let's take India for the purpose of this conversation. India has been able to invest massively, strategically, with foresight in education. Whether Nigeria is doing that or not, I don't know, because as of this week, for example, for the most part, one of the biggest stories out of this country is the Academic Staff Union of Universities talking about protest over some agreement from either 2009 or 2022, lecturers whose salaries were withheld for 4 months because they joined a peaceful demonstration. So you can't be having that conversation in 2024 and then you want to compete with a country that has a 50-year plan it's been pursuing since the mid or late 70s. So what that tells you is there's some planning that must go into it. It's not enough to have the numbers, the population. We say Nigeria is a big market. That's only in terms of potential. But in practice, we have not seen that market. Apart from the fact that we see goods from Europe and continental America coming into this country by way of tokumbo this, tokumbo that, from automobile to household items, appliances, and so on and so forth. So the question is, what have they done differently? Just said that India has been strategic in terms of investing in education, and it has made that investment something of the long term, and it has made it very massive. For example, India would intentionally, deliberately, those are the operative words, deliberately and intentionally send its citizens to some of the, if you like, most prestigious schools in the US, the Ivy League schools, the Harvards, the Stanfords, the Yales, the MITs, to study there and come back home, replicate the knowledge.
That's why you find Indians in almost virtually all the
IT
departments.
I mean, you go to Silicon Valley in California, which is, for want of better words, the world headquarters of tech. You see what Indians are doing there. You see an Indian guy, he's 29, he has a PhD. He didn't have to cut corners because he has been sent to a system that does work. And then you see him bringing value. All right, he has leverage, he has latitude. If he goes back to his country, he would bring value. If he remains in the US or anywhere in the world, he would bring value. So we've got to start thinking along that line. Do we even look like we're serious about education in this country as it stands right now? I'm not talking about the last statement by the Minister of Education. I'm not talking about the Renewed Hope agenda and what he says about education. I'm saying in the last 20 to 30 years, you can say, okay, let's remove the days of the military. Let's even start from 1998. It's a 24-year period. What have we done so far with our education at any level, elementary, secondary, or tertiary? So if you can't get these fundamentals right, there's next to nothing you can do about population. Because if you look at it, it's pretty much like when you talk about the naira-dollar parity or the factors around naira and dollar. All right, and I mean you can't resolve those issues until you have been able to address fiscal and monetary issues, which of course stops in front of the Central Bank of Nigeria. So if you narrow it down, Sam, the challenge we're having is that we have not taken our time as a country, as a government, and as a people to say, we're sitting down to say, let's have a heart-to-heart, frank, no-holds-barred conversation around the population that we have. As of today, for example, we still have a chunk of young people who are educated, at least they have a bachelor's degree, but they say this category of graduates are unemployable. They are not unemployed. That's a different class. They are unemployable. Yes. Do we have the number in that regard? Look at the police, for example. We keep saying it's a ratio of 1 policeman to 600 Nigerians. It's a ratio of 1 policeman to 300 Nigerians. Where is that data coming from? Where are we extrapolating it from? It's interesting. In 2012, for example, there was this issue that came up, a documentary about the Nigerian Police College in Ikeja.